How's it going, everybody? It's Shinigami here to bring you another video. And I didn't think I'd be talking about Star Wars so quickly again, but I guess it's just ever continuing with Star Wars Disney. And they made it, again, super easy for some of us to just keep making the content. Some believe that there is no such thing as good press and bad press. They just believe all press is good press. I would like to deny that completely, because last year with the whole Captain Marvel, the Marvels, people, and a lot of people on this side of the internet, were definitely covering it quite a bit, showing how expensive it was, just unwatchable after it came out. Described the story writing, the CGI being trash, and all these other inflated budgets that Disney just can't get away from, right? And then now you have what George Lucas said just recently, where, they don't understand the Force, they just can't seem to, they've lost track. He's tried giving them, plot points and other things or key details that would help them understand what the Force is. And they were just like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, right? So now we're at the point where series after series that have done bad on Disney Plus, they preemptively usually attack the fans, telling them they're bigots, they're racist, for the Obi-Wan specifically, right? And that, with Kelly Marie Tran, we scared her off of social media, basically. Even though, obviously, I don't condone any death threats or any of that actually comes to light. But typically, when we hear these people saying, oh my god, I've received death threats or this and that, they don't really show receipts. Or if they do, these are literally accounts that were made the same day. So it makes it hard to believe that this was someone that actually meant what they meant. And again, the receipts are just never there whenever it's told, oh my god, hundreds of thousands of people are saying this and that, but we can't find it. So we move on to what, not the best move, I would say, for Star Wars. Lucasfilm's boss, Kathleen Kennedy, defends The Acolyte, says Star Wars female cast and crew face unfair criticism because of the fan base being so male-dominated. Now, another thing that just blows my mind, that these people, they're trying to cast the widest net, and guess what? It's so widespread that you end up missing more than you want to catch. They want these female, they want the female demographic when you have to play to your strengths, right? Why do you think Barbie does so well? Because it plays to its strengths of females. Star Wars, again, has been predominantly male. Even if it's like 80% male, 20% female, hey, those 20% of females that enjoy Star Wars, they love the fuck out of it, right? Now you've taken it to a point where you're trying to 50-50 it, and you've scared off the females that originally liked the way that Star Wars was. And we'll get into more as well, that she basically says that, all the female people have received unfair criticism. Did we forget about Rian Johnson? He's a male and he got criticized to high hell because of The Last Jedi. And someone else who comes to mind who's been criticized the most, George Lucas. Especially when it came out for the prequels, everybody was up in arms like, this is garbage, this is this and that. Obviously, the younger generation, my generation, enjoyed it. We didn't think anything was wrong with it, and especially the in-depth lore, world building that they were able to pull off for that. Yeah, it's a bit of clunky dialogue and stuff like that, but it made it its own little unique self, right? And even then, the prequel blows the hell out of the water of the sequel trilogy, because you had basically a remake of A New Hope, and then the second one subverts everybody's expectations, and then the last one just crams all this crap in together. Hey, Palpatine's back, he's somehow fucking survived. Snoke, he was just a failed experiment. They have space horses now. what else? The entire fleet that Palpatine had, that basically had the capability of the Star Destroyer, or the Death Star. Like, tell me you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? Let's take a listen here to what George had to say. Was it so widely acclaimed? Widely accepted? I'm pretty sure it was.
I was as surprised as anybody in the first one and the first three that everybody from 5 years old to 85 years old liked it, all over the world, everywhere. And that was, I said, wow, because there are certain aspects of that movie which say, they would say, well, it's not, it's all white men. I said, it's not. Most of the people in there are aliens. And the idea is that you're supposed to accept people for what they are, even if they're big and furry, or whether they've got they're green and whatever. The idea is all of the people are equal. The only people that aren't, which was in there, are the robots. Well, you can't come in here. We don't like your kind here. So they were the only ones that were discriminated against, and that was a way of saying, people always discriminate against something, and sooner or later, that's what's going to happen. And we're already starting it with AI, saying, well, we can't trust those robots. I do it every day. I take my temperature. I have my, all my vital signs things. And if it comes out wrong, I say, well, I don't trust the robots. Whatever it is, we'll do it again tomorrow. So.
He's got a great point there, and they claim that nobody else can feel accepted in this new Star Wars age, when George Lucas was literally doing that back for the first three and the prequel trilogy. According to Lucasfilm, Kathleen K, the backlash that the Acolyte existence is not the result of Star Wars fans' current exhaustion of the franchise, production level focus on identity politics, but rather the misogynistic attitude of its primary... Oh, hold up. Alright, as I was saying, it's definitely not this portion right here, that misogynistic attitude of its primary male fan base. When George himself even pointed out, you had 80-year-olds, you had little kids, boys and girls loving this. And as we just continue... Hold up, baby. Kennedy offered this defense of Leslie Headland's series, greenlighting while speaking to New York Times Brooke Barnes in promotion of its upcoming premiere. He says, Barnes, if she had any thoughts on the widespread despair felt by fans that the Acolyte would yet another message-first entertainment second project from the House of Mouse. The Disney exec asserted, "My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people, and that's an easy decision for me. Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and the level of expectation, it's terrifying." Kennedy then asserted, pushing back against operating within the, like I said, giant franchises. Kennedy then asserted, pushing back against the series' pre-release critics. I think Leslie Headland had struggled a little bit within. Alright, continuing. As I said, I think a lot of women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a little bit because of the fans being so male-dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Of course, that's always the excuse. Weighing in on the topic herself, Headland separately opened, whatever that is, to Barnes. As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. I felt it myself. In the text message sent to the reporter following the conclusion of the interview, the showrunner added, "I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear, anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, and hate speech, I don't consider a fan." Oof. Again, when criticism is just being thrown at you, it's not necessarily bigots, racist, or hate speech. But that's how the blanket term goes about. Continuing on, expanding on the approach of the series narrative during a 2021 interview, the AV Club's Don Dante Chavez, the showrunner, asserted. I mean, it's funny because a lot of the feedback that I'll get, and I use the term feedback very lightly, but when I go on social media, the feedback is, don't make Star Wars political. I'm like, George Lucas made it political. Woo! But yet he was able to somehow appease a wide audience, right? Without attacking anybody. Just put it simply, these people don't know. And again, if they were asking about powerful, strong female characters, you got Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars, the cartoon. You have Princess Leia and Padme, both of them basically doing the same thing, as I was told. And also you got, I just didn't put two and two together. You got Bastila Shan from the whatchamacallit, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. She was a main pivotal role in the whole Jedi Civil War. But no, let's not talk about her, right? And then another mainstay was Kriya. Some of y'all not might remember what she looks like. This woman right here, she was blind, but she was powerful, and she beat the shit out of so many fucking people. It was insane. And she was also deceptive too. As I'll read real quick, since we got a little bit of time. Kriya's connection. Hold up. Alright, Kriya's connection to the exile is this. Very good synopsis right here, short summary. She is utterly fascinated with the fact that the exile choose to willingly cut herself off from the Force. Of course, at the beginning of the game, she truly doesn't know exactly why the exile did this. The whole game is pretty much her fighting to understand you, as much as it is her teaching you to understand her worldview. Kriya is very individualistic and values one making their own choices without being a slave to ideals. At the same time, she also values the power of manipulation of people who are unable or unwilling to realize that they are enslaved by their ideals. Hanhar is a prime example. While Kriya does actually want to learn the exile's nature and establish a proper master-student relationship with her, she also used the exile as a bait to draw out her enemies, both the Jedi and her former peers, Sion and Nihilus, and destroy them. Finally, Kriya has the grand idea of everyone having to make the exile's choice of being cut off from the Force. The whole game, she speaks of echoes. Specifically, these echoes are events that people carry with them through the Force. The Force is like a current that flows through all life. So when something like Malachar happens, it leaves an echo in all those who experienced it. The exile carries this echo, and since Kriya knows that the echo can travel from one life to another because of all life is touched by the Force, she gets to the idea of, if she creates a big enough echo, everyone in the known galaxy will be put through what the exile went through with Malachar 5. The deaths of so many people connected to her was too much to bear through the Force, so the exile had to cut herself off from the Force to keep the echoes from killing her. Once everyone has to make this decision, it will cause the entire galaxy to either become cut off from the Force or be killed. This is the galaxy Kriya wanted. Everyone free to control their own destiny, free of the Force's influence. Ooh, sorry, quite a mouthful there, but again, they claim and will say all these fans are just bigots. We don't like the female characters, blah blah blah. You have fucking dark side users and light side users that before Disney bought them, people loved them. Even if George Lucas didn't like Mara Jade or Jaina Solo and stuff like that, some of the fans definitely enjoyed those characters, right? Badass female daughters of people we knew, right? This was before all the taking over a property and just putting the female in there, replacing the male protagonist. As opposed to back then, they actually had a reason and a way of doing it properly, and people were fine with it. But when it comes to modern day Star Wars, George Lucas said it best: they just don't understand the Force, and that sucks. They're in this pickle. They're gonna keep doing the same failure. Insanity. definition. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. Yeah, Star Wars has definitely been doing that same thing with the past few shows, where they don't even wait for the criticism to come first. They preemptively just like, hey guys, we already know you guys are bigots, racist, whatever, sexist, so we're just gonna call it out beforehand. And what do you do when the show starts failing? Oh, it's all these bigots, sexist, misogynists that don't want to watch the show. Why the fuck would we? You made the enemy, you made the fans the enemy. But that's just me, Ace Shinigami, signing out. Y'all have a good morning, good evening, and good night. We'll catch you next time. Bye.